This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Minute podcast. Today's discussion is climbing the mountain and finding that the mountain is made of sand. So one of the fascinating things I find in life is people set goals and they reach those goals and find that those goals sometimes aren't as satisfying or as exciting as they thought they would be. And I'll give a personal example in a second. But I find this fascinating, and it's not a reason not to set goals, because I think if you don't set goals and have plans, you're really lost. But you do find sometimes that those goals, those plans seem so alluring and so exciting that when you get there, you find that they're not as good as they were. And I'll give you the personal example that comes out this week. I was looking at a story on Tiger Global, one of the great venture capital funds, marking down their portfolio by 33% or $23 billion. Either way, huge numbers. And I think about how when I finally was financially safe, and I grew up in a family that wasn't financially safe, I spent so much time trying to be financially safe that I finally got to that plateau, that mountain, where I could invest a little bit in venture capital funds. Now, a very small part of my portfolio, because I'm paranoid by nature and very scared by nature. So I invest a little bit in the venture capital funds, only to find by the time I was finally able to get into venture capital funds, and I'll talk about getting in a second, that the bloom was somewhat off the rose. So for example, I talk about this. It was almost harder for me to get into certain club-like venture capital funds than it was to get into Harvard Law School. Just as an aside, I mean, truly was. I mean, so much amount of sort of like working with people to finally be allowed into some funds that it was really sort of an amazing thing. The second thing I think is I often feel like the dog who caught the car, like the dog always chases the car. When he actually or she catches the car, it's a disaster. And I sort of feel like that. I spent so much time trying to be able to get into venture capital funds, and now I see Tiger Global knocking down their venture portfolio by $23 billion, 33%. I'm like, that wasn't such a great car to catch. In any event, I think there are going to be times in life when you climb the mountain and find the mountain is made of sand, but it is what it is. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity Podcast, the Becker Business Minute. Thank you.